Hi, this is Jeff Lamb. Welcome to my podcast. It's called Losing My Mind. See, I've had this really interesting life so far. I've done things that I couldn't even dream of when I was a kid, dreaming of what my life might be. Well, I figured I better start putting some of these stories down somewhere before I really do lose my mind. These won't be in any particular order, and they're mostly for me, so I don't forget. But you're more than welcome to listen in. And now, podcast number 3. When I was 16, I boxed in high school. I boxed 2 years in the Golden Gloves. And my big hero was Muhammad Ali. This guy was it. He was funny, he would call his rounds, and he was right every time, and he was just a complete showman. There were 2 people on my bucket list that I really wanted to meet, Johnny Carson and my hero, Muhammad Ali. I got down to WIOT in Toledo, and my first year was 1990. And I'd only been there a couple of months, but somebody there knew that I used to box. I don't know if I told somebody. I'm sure I did, because it wasn't like anybody was following me. Muhammad Ali was coming to Toledo. And someone at the station said, "Hey, Jeff, do you want to go to MCO and meet Muhammad Ali?" I said, "Are you kidding me? Absolutely, I want to go meet Muhammad Ali." So I called my brother-in-law, Scott, and he came to town, and we went down to MCO to meet Muhammad Ali. We're sitting there waiting for him to come in the room, and there's maybe 15 people in there. It wasn't a huge crowd. It was a invitation-only kind of thing. A couple other press people and then some guests of the hospital were there. Suddenly the door opens, and in walks Muhammad Ali. There was my hero, 15 feet away from me. And I'm telling you, the energy in the room changed. The oxygen changed. It's just something that you can't believe or even understand unless you're in that situation. But he walked in that room and everything changed. You could have heard a pin drop. They mentioned before he came in, they said, now he's not going to be doing a lot of talking. He's suffering from Parkinson's disease, but he'll talk a little bit and he'll visit with you, but don't press him too much for questions. And I was fine with that. I was just willing to be in awe and be that close to him. Well, he came in and he was talking a whole lot more than they let on. He was visiting with people and he was doing magic tricks. And there was a 10-year-old boy there. And this kid was just staring up at him. And I don't know if this kid knew who he was. This was 1990, so I'm guessing the kid had never seen him fight other than maybe on a rerun or something. But he's staring up at Muhammad Ali, and Ali looks at him and says, "Did you call me a nigger?" And the kid goes, "No, no, no." And Ali picked him up. He had a big smile on his face and started hugging this kid up. And you just felt the love, man. He loved this kid, and he loved everybody in the room. And he took time to pose for a picture with me, put his hand on my chin like he was hitting me, and gave me the look, and he posed with my brother-in-law. So we got these pictures, and it was just awesome. Well, the next day he was appearing at the Southwick Mall, signing autographs. Now, that wasn't invitation only. That was anybody could come, and there was a line around the mall and weaving through the mall to get to Muhammad Ali. Well, after our time together, I raced out to a photo store and got these pictures printed into 8x10s. Think, well, maybe I can go to the mall tomorrow and get these things autographed. I'm at the Southwick Mall the next day, and there's this huge line I was telling you about. Well, I didn't want to stand in line, so I just kind of walked past everybody, and I'm standing behind him, and one of his people go, "Hey, you were at the thing yesterday." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I've got a couple pictures. Do you think we could get him to sign them real quick? I don't want to interrupt." He says, "No problem." I'm standing there waiting for them to go up and hand him these pictures. And this big black guy comes up and he's standing next to Ali. And this guy is ripped. He's got great big arms and he's got the lats and he's got the little waist. And he just looks like nobody you'd ever want to mess with. And Ali looks at him and goes, "You a fighter?" The guy goes, "Yup." He says, "Well, let me see what you got." And he holds his hand up and the guy smacks Ali's hand and Ali says, "That was pretty good." He says, "Do that again." And he holds his hand up, and this guy takes a swing at it, and before he can make contact, Ali has already swung out, slapped the guy in the face, and you could hear the crack through the whole thing, and everybody goes, "Ooh." And this guy was kind of thinking about being mad, and then he remembered, wait a minute, I just got hit by Muhammad Ali. So he starts smiling, and Ali stood up and gave him a hug. That's how cool Muhammad Ali was. So after Ali's demonstration that he's still quick as a cat, this guy runs up, taps him on the shoulder, and hands him the pictures. And Ali looks at me and waved, and then he signed it, Love, Muhammad Ali, 1990. I've still got the picture to this day. I treasure it. It was just a great deal, and I was able to get the picture signed for my brother-in-law. But wait, there's more. Now, this story takes place sometime between 1977 and 1980. I don't know exactly when. There was a guy by the name of Gary Zittel. I went to high school with him, and I played baseball with him. Well, he was going to Kalamazoo College, and his roommate claimed to live next door to Muhammad Ali. Well, at the time, Muhammad Ali was living in the very southwest corner of Michigan. But one day he said to my buddy Gary, he says, hey, you want to go home with me this weekend? Maybe Ali's in town. He says, yeah, I'll go home with you. We'll see if Ali's in town. So they go over to his house, and they spend the night. And the next morning they get up, and they say, well, let's go see if Ali's next door. And they walk through these fescue trees, these tall, skinny trees, and there's Ali sitting at his picnic table with Angelo Dundee and a whole crew of guys, and he's living in Al Capone's old house. And there's a huge barn in the back that they have fixed up to be a gym. Gary gets introduced to Ali, and Ali says, hey, you want to come watch me work out? He said, sure. So he goes in the gym, and Ali works up a lather. He's all sweaty, and he looks down at Gary. He says, I want you. And Gary goes, no. He says, no, I want you. Put on some gloves. Get up here. He says, no, I'm not going to box you. He says, no. He says, I'm not going to hit you. You just got to hit me. You look pretty fast. He says, you come up, you try to hit me. He says, I won't hit you. So he puts some gloves on Gary. He gets up in the ring, and he's trying to hit Ali, and Ali's just dancing around. And every once in a while, Ali goes, brrr. His hands just go out flying like bullets. But he's always about an inch short of Gary's face. And then he moves over here, and brrr, there's another little flurry, and brrr, there's another little flurry. And on the last flurry, brrr, thud, he accidentally hit Gary in the nose. Well, it didn't do Gary's nose any favors. It spread over his face, broke his nose. But luckily, Ali had his cut man there, and they sat Gary in the corner, and the guy reset his nose. They put a splint on it, and they put some tape on it, and Ali just felt terrible. And so he says, I'd like to take you to dinner tonight in Chicago, which was right around the corner from lower part of Michigan. And Gary agreed, and so they went the next day in a limo to the top of the Sears Tower to dinner with Muhammad Ali. And I'm thinking, if that isn't the greatest story in the world, and I found out about this because I was home visiting my parents, and there's this big front page picture of Gary with his nose busted and a splint on it, 2 black eyes, and this great story. And I'm thinking, holy cow, what a great story that is, and what a great guy Ali was. Speaking of noses, let's jump ahead to 1985 for this story. I was playing tennis with my brother-in-law. My sister and my brother-in-law were over. My sister, Becky, and my wife at the time were sitting at the apartment watching us from a distance. Scott and I were playing tennis, and they were on the patio watching us. And we finished our tennis. We were dripping with sweat, and we said, hey, let's go just fall in the pool. Let's do one quick lap, and we'll get out and go back to the house. So we jumped in the pool. I swam one width of the pool, and I grabbed the side, and I came jumping out. I was going to come out all in one motion, but I came up under the slide, and it had a razor-sharp edge on it, which cut my nose clean off. And it's hanging off to the side, and I'm looking down going, poof, poof, what the heck? Poof. And I just see this big thing that looks kind of like a nose. It's too close to my eyes to really focus on. But I grabbed it and put it back in place, and Scott goes, are you all right? Because the water was turning pink around me. And I said, I don't think so. And I peeled my nose back, and he goes, yeah. And he yells, Becky, get the car. And she says, what? He says, get the car. Why? Get the car. So she comes over. Somebody handed me a towel. They threw me a towel, and I've got it over my face, and I get in the car, and I'm in the passenger seat. Becky's driving. Scott's in the back. She says, what happened? What happened? I said, I went to show her. She goes, ah. So she's freaking out. So Scott gets in. He drives me to the hospital. Becky's with me. But we get to the hospital. You know you've got a good one when you show it to the nurse in the ER, and she goes, ooh, ooh, ooh. And it was really bad. It was not pretty. It was just a nose laying on my face. Well, now I'm in the ER cubby waiting for the doctor to come put my nose back on my face. And they're asking me questions, and they said, so when did you last eat? I said, I don't know, about an hour ago. And they said, geez, see, we can't do the surgery yet because you've already eaten, so we've got to let some time pass. And I said, really? And they said, yeah. I says, Becky, we've got time. Run home and get a camera. This is before cell phones. So she ran home, got a camera, came back, took a picture of it, and Dr. Shakiri came in, and he sewed my nose back on for me while they put me out. And I woke up, and I had packing up my nose. I had the splint on it, and I had the two black eyes and the whole deal. And the first thing I thought of was Gary Zittel getting his nose broken by Muhammad Ali. I'm sitting here all padded up. I've got a splint on my face. My story is that of a klutz. Gary's story is getting punched by Muhammad Ali. I'd trade stories in a minute. Eventually, the nose healed and it got back to normal. And if you look close, you can see the scar, but Dr. Shakiri did a heck of a job. But I sure wish I had a better story to tell like Gary Zittel. And now we've reached the end of podcast number 3. Tune in next time for Losing My Mind.